Drake has just announced his brand new album called For All the Dogs, and we're going to break down everything that we know about this album, predictions for release dates, and much more. And it's always a good time when we get a new Drake album. And if you guys are fans of the show and you want to see our first live reaction to the album when it does drop, check out the link in our description because we are going to be doing a first live reaction on Patreon. But how do you feel about the news, bro?
Well, listen, I think it's quite interesting just because back in January, Drake did say that he was planning to release a new album or project, whatever you want to make of it. But, you know, there was always the rumblings of, okay, Scary Hours EP3, right? It's the perfect time to do it. He just dropped 2 studio albums in 2022, and now you come back in the new year. And yes, obviously, you still want to keep the fans happy. But at the same time, there was questions. Is it too soon to be dropping a studio album? So let me ask you that, all right? He's coming back. It's super soon. It's coming off of what? I think it was a November release date?
November, yeah. So it's less than a year later that he's dropping this album. And it's cool because he's dropping a new poetry book, which he actually announced a few days ago. And now if you go on the website for this poetry book, which is called titlesruineverything.com, you'll find a link where it says, I made an album to go with the book. They say they miss the old Dre, Girl Don't Tempt Me, and then he gives us the title of the album, For All the Dogs.
So, what do you think this means? And especially it being attached to a poetry album, which means enriched writing, maybe some new concepts, maybe going into a different direction with his pen. But that's the thing, though, is that do you even want to play that game with Drizzy Drake just because he said it himself? I don't think he'll ever release an album where it's pure rapping, but what do you speculate about?
I'll always take like that full rap album from Drake. Like that's my dream album from him at this point. But with a title like For All the Dogs, it gives me like some Toronto and Six vibes just because when he talks about his dogs, that's who he's referring to. Also, him quoting headlines is also another sign that like maybe he is going to give us some of those old Drizzy vibes. And I think that, like, more than anything, no matter what the sound of this album is, I just want it to be quality, bro. Because, in my opinion, I really liked Her Loss. It was a great collab album, but it has been a while since we've gotten a quality album from Drake that's on the level of the upper echelon shit, like a Nothing Was the Same, like an If You're Reading This It's Too Late. So, do you feel like it's too soon to come back? And when do you see this happening? Because I don't think we're going to have to wait too long, right?
Well, too long. We'll see what happens. I mean, at the end of the day, Certified Lover Boy was floating around in the waters for a very long time, so that's another conversation to be had. But more than anything, like, I just want Drake to be able to do what he wants on this album. Like, play on no constraints and just deliver what he wants to deliver. Because, yes, I could see I want another Nothing Was the Same or another If You're Reading This It's Too Late experience or even another Views, but what's interesting about those albums that stylistically they're so different from each other and they were at a different point in Drake's career, and I want to see just the Drake touch again. Like, and I think it's there. You definitely do hear it in his sound, but you want something that's gonna feel like, whoa, okay, this is taking over. And I did feel that with Her Loss though. But you're right, it was a collaboration album, so I think it would be interesting to see how he attacks it from a solo point of view.
So when do you think this is coming? Because June 30th is being taken from Uzi as of right now, unless Drake says, fuck it, let me drop on the 30th, and Uzi starts like running away from the date. That's always a possibility.
No, but
no one wants that smoke, bro. Let's be real.
Oh,
when
yeah,
Drake comes back, there's nothing else that matters.
Who was it last year that ended up moving up the date because of it?
Yeah, there was a Boogie who straight up said, like, yeah, I'm not competing
I don't
with
think
Drake.
that would happen. But listen, at the end of the day, who knows if Uzi's still dropping the Pink Tape next week? It should happen. I think it should happen, but you never know with release
And then you also have Utopia that's in the mix. So I don't think he's going to want to stomp on that release date, but it would be cool for him to release it around the time that the tour is starting, because the tour does start June 29th. So we'll see if we get it then. Some other news that we know about this album is the fact that there has been some snippets that have been teased at different clubs in Houston.
Yes,
and
sir.
around that same time, Drake was sharing a story where you saw, I think it was OVO Noel and Noah 40 Shabib in the studio cooking something. So there's obviously a lot of shit going down, but do you remember the snippets? Like, from what I remember, it sort of seemed like some modern Drake. You had like those little yachty ad-libs in the background, and I think you're going to get some of that. You're going to get some like trap or more modern sounding production from Drake. Also, we know that Benny X, the producer that produced, what was it called? Search and Rescue?
Yeah, Search and Rescue.
Search and Rescue. He produced that one, and he just tweeted the name of the album. So he's probably going to be a producer on there, again, giving indication of this being more of a modern sounding album.
Yeah.
So what does that tell you? Based on the snippets, based on the Benny X thing?
Listen, what ends up getting promoted with Drake, I think it's hard to call, right? Like, how many different things did we hear for something like CLB, where most of the snippets that at least I was hearing didn't even make the full album experience? It's so hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, so many things happen to albums in the moment, and who knows, there's songs that get cut a couple days before even release, and you're just there wondering, like, why didn't that make it? Now, if you have to ask me, I think, yeah, it could be cool if he goes into that direction. It has to be quality. Like, one thing I do enjoy Drake for is, like, his clear vocals. Like, stylistically and vocally, he sounds so different than anyone else in the rap game, and even in, music as a whole. So when you have those, like, high-pitched auto-tunes, like, on his voice, I don't know how well it works. Like, even on something like Search and Rescue, I just wasn't a fan of the auto-tune, and I don't know, maybe it's for some people, but at the end of the day, I want to just hear Drake at his natural, and I want a good studio album
That's
experience.
another question, too, now, is, like, speaking about Drake's form, because obviously Search and Rescue, to me, is one of the worst singles he's ever put out. But then you also have to think about a song like Who Told You, the J Hus song, where he had a feature on there, and it had sort of more of a, I guess, club and dance vibe to it to some degree. And then you also got these latest features on the Young Thug album where he was absolutely fucking sliding. So I do think he's in good form, but I'll be honest with you, I was down for the Scary Hours 3-pack. I was down for some singles that sort of led to, some buzz for this grandiose album that maybe would have came in 2024. But at the same time, it's a fucking Drake album. Like, this is the guy that keeps shit exciting in hip-hop just because he's consistently feeding us. So I am happy to get it, but if you had to guess right now, do you think it's going to be as quality as his best work, or where's your head at with that?
That's such a hard. I mean, okay, I'll give you an
Again,
example.
based on
I'll
current
give you,
form.
I'll give you an example. Because I understand the conversation you're trying to have, but I want to take it to this. Okay, look at Dark Lane demo tapes. That was a bunch of Lucy's and whatever. I don't consider that to be Drake's top tier material, whatsoever. But it's a great listen. I enjoy it. I still play it to this day. It's the type of Drizzy I love. I want Drake. That's all I could ask for. Whatever level because at this point in the game, imagine me waking up every morning and wanting to see nothing was the same. I'd end up going fucking depressed. I wouldn't see it. So at this point, I just want to be able to get an album I'm going to be listening to, vibing out to, and listen to some quality rap on there too, because as you said, the Young Thug features were actually really solid. People may have their complaints with it, but at the end of the day, for my rotation, it's in there.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking to see. But I know you have a bone to pick. I know that you want to see a certain something from Drake, but I just don't know if you're going to be getting it.
I just hope that Drake takes this seriously, bro. I mean, again,
he takes his music seriously.
Of course, he takes it seriously, but I just think
on.
that, again, he's been a bit more passive in terms of just like focusing on quantity versus quality as of late. So if he is going to put out another record, I hope that it's something that's memorable, something that ends up having, that longevity, that staying power. And with a title like For All the Dogs, it instantly makes me think of the song 9, like For All the Dogs That We Know. So already that gives me old Drake vibes, along with what he said, hinting at the headlines title, him quoting that. So I am getting the feeling that Drake is going to go to an older aesthetic,
that
and that
crazy.
gets me fucking hyped.
That would be very. I know. I feel
gets
you,
me hyped.
and we need it. We definitely need it. But I'm going to tell you this though. I'm going to give you some words of encouragement. All right.
Yeah.
Her Loss, his latest album.
It's fire.
It's fire.
It's
great. You can't say anything about it. Everyone is criticizing Drake, but his track run as of late, still solid.
It has.
I'm going through these albums. I'm fucking with them. His last 4 albums, okay, his projects, Dark Lane demo tapes, CLB, Honestly Nevermind, and Her Loss. I have 3 of them in rotation.
Yeah.
As we speak for this
Same
summer.
here. Okay, let me ask you this. In a dream world, a couple of features, couple of producers attached, and just a vibe for the album. What is it?
Bro, listen. I like the new approach he's taking with new producers and
Filthy, Benny X.
Absolutely. I think they're super talented producers. I think that they deserve those types of credits. A Drake placement is life-changing. But for like the dream world musically, man, just give it to Boy Wonder. Like, don't even. I've been saying this on the podcast for way too long. I will have this take till I die. I don't think there is anyone else that does as well as Boy Wonder.
Yeah, who understands Drake as well. So Boy Wonder, give us vinyls in the mix. Give us DJ Dahi.
Yes.
We haven't seen Drake work with Dahi in a minute.
Be sick. That would be
getting
sick.
beats like Worst Behavior, where it's like there's multiple phases to it. That shit's always masterful. In terms of features, Yachty's probably a lock for something like this.
What type of Yachty are you getting? That's the question.
I know.
Listen, I know Let's Start Here got you very excited, but I know how you feel about that rapping, Yachty, and I'm not sure if you like it all that much. So
I'm always here for the bars, but I think that we're gonna get one of those like albums from Drake where he's encompassing all of his sounds from Afro beats to R&B to hip hop, and I'm cool with that. Like that's sort of been like the mold now for a Drake
so you
album.
just want to see what Drake does.
I want to see what he does. I want him to have some bars and to actually bring in some of that poetry from the book into the album. And like I said, I want it to be something to be remembered. That's it.
I know. Listen, man, it's a tough situation, but guys, let us know in the comment sections. How do you feel about this new Drake album? And as Lou mentioned at the beginning of this episode, we are going to be doing a new live album reaction to Drake's album. It is going to be a monumental night. So if you guys want to join the Patreon plan, it is a good time to do so. The link is in the description. Check the pinned comment for the link. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.